Machismo. Let's talk about it. What's up, Spicy Taco fam? So today we're actually going to talk about machismo and how it is integrated into our culture, Hispanic culture,
the world,
feminism, and all that stuff.
So, what exactly is machismo?
Why are you looking at me like I'm supposed to
stick at it?
like I'm the machismo god?
Yeah, because you... Never mind.
Oh, I guess we all have an understanding of what it is, but basically my thing is machismo is like where, in my perspective, you grow up with your dad saying you can't play with that doll because it's a girl, you can't wear pink because that's his niña, you can't have earrings because you're a girl, anything that will destabilize masculinity.
I'm sorry, are you okay? You sounded like you needed a hug there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, he just went off the bat. My dad didn't let me do this. I want an earring,
Daddy.
a coloring book.
All I could use was blue in my coloring.
No
book.
other color.
But what kind of experiences did you guys have growing up? Is your dad a machista?
My dad didn't let me play at all. Men can't play.
Yeah, man.
Puro trabajar.
Wake up at 6 in the morning.
He didn't call it playing.
Oh.
He called it building skills.
Building
Work skills.
Building your foundation for your...
So like, he wouldn't buy us a bike. He would like go to like the junkyard and get like pieces of bikes, and he's like, if you can put it together, you can ride it.
Right.
And then once we put it together, he'd dismantle it, like 4. He'd dismantle it, and he'll be like, this is a life lesson. You're not always going to get what you want, even if you work hard for it.
Daddy?
And they would have to put it back together. And then we have to put it back together again.
See, I have had experiences with machismo with men in my own family, but before I go into any of that, because I'm not sure if I want to, I will say that I was told a story by my mother about her grandfather, I think, who would go to his ranch on a horse. My grandmother would follow along behind him on foot. Yeah. And basically, it's like one of those things where she wasn't allowed on the horse with him because, she got to walk. Like I'm the patriarch. I'm the head of the household, of the family. So you better walk your ass behind me on my horse, And that, when I heard that, to me, it was like, if I've ever heard any, story about machismo in the past, that to me was just like baffling. Like, wow, that's so fucking.
This was your great grandpa?
Yeah.
You guys great grandpa?
Yeah, it's wild when you hear those, because like, I blame religion for a big portion of this, because they've always put the man as like I don't want to get too religious, but like, even God was pictured to be a man, even though he's supposed to be a spirit.
God is a
man. Now, on that, people are like, oh, God, what if God was actually a woman? I disagree, only because I feel like if God were a woman, she wouldn't have allowed all the discrimination that still goes on with women to happen.
That's not true.
You don't think so?
I think that's so machista, man. I'm just kidding.
Because we're talking about the Bible and God, by the Bible, then God was never gonna,
well, according to the Bible,
come back and do anything after the Great Flood.
Right.
He promised to never
come back.
Basically intervene with.
But he still did.
But now, obviously,
he still did, because obviously his son Jesus. We're not gonna get into. Let's not get into.
I'll wrap that up. So basically, how I see that whole religious thing, how you're saying that men wrote the Bible, so obviously they're gonna put themselves.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so okay, that's a different conversation. That's assuming that God and all that doesn't exist.
So like, they're gonna put themselves up there
above, yeah.
But going back all the way back to like, if outside of religion, the man was always known as the hunter-gatherer. The hunter.
The hunter. And the hunter-gatherer. Yeah.
Woman was just the one in the village.
They were just doing cleaning.
Yeah, in the village, cooking food.
Yeah.
Clearly, I'm not reliable.
Not very well.
But yeah, so that led to like, a man's place, a woman's place, all this crap. Yeah, through society, it's just
gender roles. That's what it boils down to. But even more than that, I think, I don't know, man. I feel like machismo. You ever seen like a tomboy? You think that tomboys are more accepted? Let's say a regular woman walks into a job, right? That more men apply to and get, right? And this woman comes and she's like very feminine, the prototypical woman that you would picture in your head, comes and applies for the job, and then another woman comes in. She's a little more built, maybe a little more stocky. She comes off as a little more tomboyish.
What job is
little
this,
more. Just say like again, any job that mostly men get. So say. Yeah, but women also apply to and obviously don't get as much because men get these jobs more. Whatever job it may be, the point is, do you think that because the tomboy is more manly in a way, more masculine, they I don't know. I guess I don't know where I'm going with this.
Are you saying
that the tomboy girl would get the job over the
would be preferred
pretty girl?
Well, yes, but I don't know. I think what I was trying to say is, I don't know. I feel like I lost my train of thought, but basically, I don't know.
I think I know.
I feel like machismo is for men, and it puts us on a higher level, or it's meant to, than women. But I don't know, man.
I feel like machismo is layered though.
Yeah.
Because like there's obviously a lot that goes on with like how there's still men that assume that like, oh, the woman has to cook, she has to clean, she has to do other things, and the man is the provider. He has to work and make a living or whatever. But there's also women that feel that's the role. And I found, at least like in our culture and stuff, a lot of men would come here and like make a living or whatever, realize the women here are more independent, and then try to go get a woman from Mexico or South America or whatever, because they're used to being dominated as disgusting as it sounds.
They're used to being they saw their dad being the dominant character in their family, so they want to be the dominant character.
But I'm also just talking about like women in general, like
providing.
They're also accustomed to that life. They don't see it like there's women today still, especially in those poor countries and stuff like that. I have a few cousins. I'll see posts on Facebook. It's like, oh, you guys have washing machines. We wash by hand. Oh, you girls get your hands pampered and stuff, and all these things. And we actually have to cook. And
they kind of shame them too.
Basically,
right?
like they're shaming women that are more independent, not realizing that they're doing themselves a disservice. But it's also because of how they're being educated. Because there's still parts of the world where they won't educate women. They won't allow it because we know that education leads to breaking the shackles of slavery, basically, freeing the mind and gaining power. And like, but what I mean by layers is like, so growing up, you see this happening. You get attached. Because you love your mother, you love your grandmother or whatever, you love the people close to you, and you see how machismo is affecting their lives, and you're like, damn, like, well, I will say this, in our household, at least like my dad helped around in the house. He showed us if you're home, you gotta clean, you gotta cook, you're not just gonna sit there. You're not just gonna sit there and do nothing. So like, we learned that. And it's like you said, you have to learn that, because otherwise you as a child assume like, oh, well, that's just the woman's role in the family. And it's like, no, it's everyone's role. Everyone needs to take a part in the upkeep of the house, the upkeep like economic wise or whatever, stuff like that. But there's also this mentality of like men showing weakness. Yeah. It's not just targeted to women. It's also targeted to what we consider to be more feminine men, And I've always had a problem with people saying like, oh, you have a manly or masculine side and a feminine side and some people tend more to one side. Like, I get what they mean, you know, because that's what we label to be feminine and masculine. But I feel like that's also part of the problem is how we're naming these things. It's like, you like to knit, you like to cook. Oh, that must be you're a little more feminine. It's like, no, I'm just a guy that
you're
likes
assigning
to
a
cook.
role to a gender or two.
The whole like in sports where you throw like a girl or guys are like I remember in kindergarten whatever playing outside, you would always race, but you would always say you were like a girl or whatever. Guys were always bigger, better, faster,
It's supposed
whatever.
to be, it's just an insult.
It's just just not okay
for both sides.
That's the thing. Is that's what's so convoluted and dangerous about machismo is overlooking that as well. It's like men also need help. The boys need to be educated because no one's born feeling like they're better than anyone else or whatever. You get taught those things. You see those things because if it were true, there would be a lot more. Like even us right now, we would have those same feelings. Like, oh no, women need to cook. You know, women need to clean or whatever. But obviously, we don't feel that way. We don't feel that way. So like something obviously was taught to us that's different from some of these other people that assume that my wife has to cook for me. You know, as a man, I can't cry.
I hate that. Oh my god!
What do you think was that tipping point for us that like kind of broke that?
Honestly, I think
regulation.
One is the love that your mom had for you, and her trying to make sure that you don't become what she had to endure. Making sure, because our mom has always told us like, whatever you do, don't treat your wife or like don't treat her like lesser than you. You know. If she makes sacrifices for you, you have to make sacrifices for her.
Damn right.
If she's working and you're home, you have to cook. If you're working and she's home, she'll cook. You know, it's not about like, oh, you do the cooking and the cleaning, I do the working. It's like, no, it's like you divide responsibility. So I know that's a big thing that was for me. I'm assuming it's the same for him.
Yeah.
But
basically same thing. I think also like the internet helped. The living here in the United States or back home in Mexico really like shifted everything because like feminism and all that is rising. But even then, it's only a recently new thing. Like,
and it's because so many people have like an easier way to interact with each other and talk about these things. Because before you didn't talk about this. When I was a kid, what I had, man, I can't tell how many times I was bullied in school and stuff, and I would cry and shit, and I was a little bitch.
You can't show.
I was a little bitch, you know, like I was a bitch. But
just go home.
You never wanted to tell anyone, and now it's like more people are accepting of it. So you're like, hey man, you know, like. I don't feel like I gotta get my hands rough and dirty, and I don't gotta get blisters and stuff. I can go work in an office. Doesn't mean just because I am not a handyman doesn't mean I'm not a man. You know.
That was another thing. Like if you don't know how to fix a car, or if you don't know how to like change your oil or whatever, you're automatically like less of another man.
That's what I said. Like if you're not a handyman, before like if you weren't a handyman, you weren't a man. If you couldn't fix something, put something together, then you weren't a man. Like a man. When you thought of a man before, it's like a man builds, you know, a man gathers, builds, and like gets his hands dirty, but he's doing it for his woman who he mistreats and treats like shit. So it's like, why does he even have?
He doesn't let her do anything.
But it's like
he's building a cage.
Basically,
he's getting dirty.
Exactly.
For those of you listening, and you want to know if you're a machista. I mean, I don't want to say there's nothing wrong with it. You should change. You should make changes. You should be made aware of it. Become self-aware of these things, and actually try to change. Because if you are aware of it and don't want to change, then you're just a piece of shit. So if you expect someone else, whether it's a woman or someone younger than you, just because you're older and you're manlier, you expect them to cook for you. You expect them to clean for you. You expect them to do all these things that you wouldn't do for them. If, for whatever scenarios, then yeah, you're a machista. You know, you shouldn't expect your wife to constantly be in the kitchen. You shouldn't expect to come home to a cooked meal because she might have a job too. You shouldn't expect her to be home all the time if she wants to have a job. So
She should have a job if she wants to.
Oh, these things. Sorry.
Man, my thing is though, like, I don't even blame older people who are just like ignorant. I guess we would call them ignorant because they don't understand, but there's no real way for them to understand, you know?
I have to disagree.
Because they know when they're being called out for it. They know why they're being called out, but it's not something that they can really change their minds on. When say they saw their parents, like the way that their household was structured was like very, very manly, very machismo-y, then their household is the same. And once they're like 50 or 60 years old, someone tries to tell them like, hey, you're a piece of shit because you're treating your wife like she's like nothing, you know? Then they're gonna be like, oh, well,
you're insulting their entire life.
Basically, because that's the only way that they understand a household structure, you know. And say they could have made a change when they were growing up and said, I don't want to be like that because I saw my mom being mistreated and stuff. But I don't know, maybe when they were growing up, I don't know. It's that manly side of them.
Yeah.
They can't help but to show it, you know. So
let's see. Well, what's your thought?
I was gonna say I disagree. I always feel like that's a scapegoat answer, even now, where people like grow up being abused or whatever, and they're like, oh, I didn't know anything different, or I don't like it's not abused, but what was the comparison I was thinking of? Oh, but yeah. So like basically like kids that grow up nowadays and don't help their parents, like, you know, with bills or whatever, if they can, and saying like, oh, well, you know, no one ever taught me to do that. It's like, no, like you know that's a responsibility you have as a kid, as their child or whatever. You should know that you shouldn't treat another person lesser than you. You know, and I feel like, especially now, and I get it, the age and all that stuff. I get like there's something that but I've seen people change. I've seen people make changes, and it's like the biggest problem is the pride. So it's not that they that can't change don't want to change. It's just the ego that's there, and it's like if they were to seek help, they were to seek therapy. I feel like they could work this thing out.
But maybe it all ties back down to like closing in your feelings. You can't show emotion.
Exactly.
It's a cycle. We have to break.
So
it.
I get what you're saying. I get your argument, but I also feel like it's not a legitimate excuse to keep treating.
It's not an excuse because you can still hold you can still hold them accountable. You tell them they're wrong and they're being ignorant. You know for one that they're being ignorant, so it's true. They're not gonna see it. That's the point, and it's like, well, it's more deeply rooted too than just saying like go to therapy and then seek help, and they're gonna somehow
magically
get you to open up and realize the kind of troubles that you went through. Because sometimes don't even see it as an issue, you know. And when we talk about religion, which we won't go into, like you said right now, it's even harder to get people to see it. So it's like, yes, it does seem like a lousy excuse for like people who can't see the real issue, but it's like that's an issue. Like it what they're going through is an issue, and we have to realize that too. And it's not just as easy as saying like you have to see what's going wrong. We're gonna hold you accountable. You have to see. You have to see it because you do, but it's not. I don't know. I just don't think it's now. It's getting better now because look, we're having this conversation openly in front of a camera, you know, and I don't know. It just. So I feel for people.
So that's different. Like I know what you mean. That's different from what you were saying initially, where it's just like they know that they did wrong, but they won't change. It's like no. Like if I get that, there's people that are either just really, really stubborn or they don't see what's wrong. I mean, just seeing like, you know, just the difference in political views, Democrats and Republicans. Like no matter what, if you're really democratic, no matter what a Democrat does or says, you'll probably still stay Democratic just so you won't say that the Republicans are right or whatever, or you might not see it. So I agree with that. If it's to that point where like, because that does make sense where like, you know, you lived your whole life knowing a lifestyle, and then having someone come in and is like, oh, well, that lifestyle is wrong. You're not going to see it.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
to piggyback on him, like the whole, it's not only just in growing up in that way. I mean, yeah, but like it's also in the media.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're growing up in the '90s, back when Don Francisco used to be on.
Mm-hmm.
It's an old guy, older guy, and then he has like almost naked women coming into the show, bringing whatever he needs to bring in whatever. Yeah. But then they're like, dressed so you grow up and you're just like, you're sexualizing women, or you're like, but you're just taught to like, I don't know.
But see, that's fine. No.
Yeah, that's like
but I think that's still a very, very big problem with just Latinx culture in general, where like they overly sexualize
popular
women.
Culture, not just Latinx. No?
I'm saying like speaking from our culture, like I mean here in the States, you see recently Univision has had women be anchors or whatever, but if you look at the trends, they're always very young.
Yes,
and they're thick as shit. Women. You seen that one girl? Man, I forgot her name, but she's thick as hell. And she be wearing them sundresses, not the tight ass dresses.
Yeah.
And she's thick as hell, and they always get them little nice young things that got the big booty, and then wear the tight ass dresses.
You won't see an older, maybe older than. Unless they've been with Univision or whatever for a very long time. For a while. But they won't hire a 50, 40 plus year old lady or whatever.
But you see like older men there all the time. Yeah. And every like 10,
there.
Every like 10, 15 years, the man's still there and they have a new hot little pretty thing on there with him.
Which is fine, girl. Get your money up.
Yeah, get your, like, there's nothing wrong with them
probably not going to be there
this job opportunity.
The problem comes when now they're looking for... It's just a lot of things stem from that, because the reason they're on is because you have these old perverted people who are like, this is going to draw in views because men love to watch this eye candy. And it's like, I mean, I guess there's nothing really, really wrong with that, or the woman knows, because there's 9 out of 10, they're going to know that that's why they're being called to get the job.
I feel like there's everything.
But then women, but that's the thing. It's like, they should feel that they got the job because they're skilled, you know, not because they look fine as hell. But it's like, that's so fucked up, man. I can't imagine it. But can't relate.
But I mean, I agree with Danny. It's like that's a problem that needs to be fixed, because otherwise, and it's like you said, it's not just in our culture; it's all over the world. But I feel like it's more in your face. Like they still don't care. At least in the States, like they'll call you out for that shit. You know, and it's like, oh, like did you need that chick in the bikini washing the car if you're selling Taco Bell? Like, you know, you seen those commercials? Yeah. It's like you didn't need all that.
You know what? But man, I don't even think it's if you're a real man. I feel like I'm a real man.
Why do you gotta be you are a man? Like I'm a man. Why can't it be like you're a strong person?
Because when you say you're a
strong,
man,
independent person.
When people say you're a man or you're a strong man, they're not just talking like, oh, you just this generic ass man with muscles. No, you're thinking of the fucking pharaohs, the kings.
You're thinking of my boy
Christian. Like that's what you think of when you think of a man.
Cleopatra was a woman.
Hercules. Yes, there's very powerful women in history.
History does show that she would make herself look more masculine with like makeup.
Even now, there's women that do that so that they can get through in life or whatever. But it's like that's what you think of when you think of a man. Like, oh, you're a real man. You think of rugged beard, with a fucking bear on the back,
so like if a man is like independent, assertive, and stuff, he is considered strong.
He is considered.
But when a woman is that, she's considered a B. Or
bitch. You can say bitch on here.
Look, if you call your women's a bitch, give me her number. I might treat her like a
she
queen.
a bitch.
Just kidding.
Yes, that's it. Because men. Well, first of all, no, we're not used to seeing that. You know, like an assertive woman, confident woman. You get intimidated by it. I've seen that shit at work all the time.
Man, it's intimidating for real though.
I've seen that shit at work all the time. Like,
okay, continue. I'm sorry.
or like, we had a lady come up from headquarters. We were doing inventory where I worked, and she was like, boss. I'm talking about boss. And like our supervisors have like really, really big egos, so like they always have to be in the know. And I was the lead for this particular inventory, and they didn't like that. So she only talked to me. And when they came up to like ask her a question, she wouldn't even look at. She did not acknowledge their existence. As far as she knew, I was the only person standing there, me and the manager. And
you know what she wasn't? You might have called her a B, but she was a queen, bro.
She was a queen. I'm telling you, she did her
Queen.
thing. She did her thing. We were in the office, and then like later, I talked to the guys, and they're like, "I didn't like her." I'm like, "Why not?" She's like, "She seemed mean for no reason. Like she wasn't listening to us." I'm like, "Why would she listen to y'all? Like she didn't. She's first of all, she's above y'all, and second of all, like y'all were asking stupid questions."
Just trying to get her attention.
Yeah, you're just trying to have a conversation with her. We're trying to do inventory. It's
Trying
like,
to work.
but it's because she was. If it were a man, because we've had the CEO. Oh my god, we've had the CEO come to the warehouse, and like same thing. He's just walking around, just being a big old boss, and
It could be the fact that like women are more approachable. So you want to go.
You feel like
you can approach, but if
when she shuts you
she's
down,
at work mode. She doesn't want to be bothered. So she's just like, oh, so I guess you're not approachable. I guess.
But see,
she's
it only hurt the men's.
The
Because
egos.
the women's was like.
Do you think that there's any remnants of machoism inside of you still?
Oh yeah.
Even though you acknowledge it? Yeah, I think so too. I think in me, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with like words like that, like cursing. Like when you call someone a bitch, it's almost like you're implying that they're a woman as well.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like even like the word anything that's related to like a girl.
I feel
like you said,
I feel bad. I feel disgusting when I say
What? Cunt. Yeah,
like,
cunt.
Cunt.
I'll say bitch all day because I can use it in any
Bitch,
type of
bitch.
way. Like, yes, bitch.
That's because you're
like,
flamboyant.
stuff like that. But I can't use
Danny, are you a machista?
it.
Do you think men are better than women?
Duh.
Oh my.
The truth comes out. Boom.
Tune in next
Catch
time.
us next time on SpicyTalkos. There's a lot to cover on machismo, and we can't get to everything. There's, like I said, we can get real deep. We got a little bit into that religion, but I saw that going whole nother direction.
Yeah.
And we can maybe do a podcast about that. And we might do another podcast on machismo. Take it away.
Maybe in the future we'll have, if you guys bring up any interesting things, which I'm sure you will, we'll try covering it here again because, like Ernesto the Lengua said, it's a very, very, very big thing.
And obviously, we are three guys here talking about machismo, and we would obviously love to have a girl here talking about her views on it.
Mm-hmm.
We are like trying to see if like one day we could have guest speakers or whatever to talk about not just machismo but anything else. So if you guys
perspective
feel like you guys have a conversation that you guys would like to have with us and would like to be a guest or whatever, you can maybe work something out. I don't know.
Yeah. And if you want to see a machismo part 2, part 3,
or want to talk about something specifically about anything.
Yeah.
You guys want to know why Danny prefers men over women? Why he's being a dick?
Oh no.
Hey, that's an offense. That's an offensive thing that relates to
Hey
men.
man, look. So follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now
we are working on getting onto Spotify, iTunes, and iHeartRadio and all of that podcasting areas or whatever.
So follow us on all those platforms
to find out when that
and we'll share that information with you. And
that way,
you guys check us out.
If you guys don't have YouTube Red or whatever, and you can't listen to us without looking at us, those little platforms will be ready for y'all.
I know we're cute. We look nice sometimes, and you want to see this cute face, but sometimes you just want to hear us talk. Sometimes our voice It's so sexy.
So machista.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we'll get that up soon, and you guys can check us out there.
Yep.
Thank you guys for joining us
So
again
that's
today.
it.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.